Good evening and good morning, everyone. Welcome back. We are here with Adam, Antoine, and myself, the host of the Middle Age Gaming Podcast. Today, we are back for another Starfield episode. So, if you want to skip right ahead to that, you can skip the first 20 minutes, but you definitely should not. We are talking about games we have been playing. I do want to make a short note today at about 9:21 a.m. Adam and my time. If Adam's cell phone is near him, mine is near me. We might have to sort of mute our microphones because there will be a tsunami test for everybody's cell phones in Taiwan. As you know, we had an earthquake over the weekend, so of course this is quite relevant. So I don't know, Adam might be speaking, I might be speaking. We might have to cut to Antoine speaking because that noise is supposed to go on for about 5 minutes or so. But beyond depressing earthquake tsunami stuff, we're going to start off with games we have been playing that have been making us happy. So Adam, how is .hack GU going?
Doing well. I finished the second game, so now I'm into the third game, and yeah, that's basically it. Enjoying the story. Other than that, combat hasn't changed too much. It's starting to get a little bit intense. People are starting to die off, so yeah, getting exciting.
I mean, after playing two of the games straight, aren't you like mentally tired from the same thing?
No, in a way, I'm not, and So like when I played Mass Effect, I played all three back to back, the original trilogy back to back, and that took a really long time. .hack is actually pretty short. So like normally if I was playing like say Final Fantasy 7 remake or The Witcher, I Final Fantasy I put over 100 hours in. I put over 100 hours into uh Horizon Forbidden West. I put over 200 hours into The Witcher 3. And in this one, each game is only around 20 hours. So I'm only about, less than 50 hours in, and I'm on the third game. So even though I'm playing them back to back, I'm actually spending less time on these than I normally would with just one bigger modern game. So no, it doesn't feel like burnout. And plus, I don't know if it was originally like this, but each one ends on a pretty big cliffhanger, and each one leads exactly into the next one. So really, it doesn't feel like you've ended one game and you're starting the next one. It just feels like, a chapter closed and you're opening up the next chapter. So, yeah.
Must be better to play them back to back now than back in the past where you finish on a cliffhanger. I have to wait 2 years for the next game.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah, I don't remember how big of a gap there was between them, but I would definitely say playing them back to back is definitely helpful. And I am skipping a lot of the side quest stuff because it doesn't seem to be terribly helpful. They don't really give you things that are super useful in the game. And then plus because each game is linked to each other, they repeat a lot of the same side quests. It's kind of a weird thing that they do where you'll have a side quest and it'll say something like, "Oh, you need to collect this number of, objects or whatever." And then in the next game, you get the exact same quest, collect this number of objects. So I'm not doing much of the side quest there. I'm doing it when they offer a specific side quest. I'll do that because they have a little bit of story, but kind of the little achievement type things I'm not really doing. Plus, they did, since the game came out as a whole pack, a lot of the trophies carry over between all the different games. So it'll say like, oh, defeat this number of PKs across all three games rather than this number in the first game, in the second game, or in the third game. So because of that, it's even though it's technically three different games, it's set up like one large game. So
It's interesting. I just googled it. The first game was 2006, and then the second and the third game were both released in 2007. That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think there was a big gap between them. So yeah, maybe
That's
6 months or so between each one. But they reuse a lot of assets. I mean, for instance, in the first game, you get your first world, and then you get you get three different kinds of dungeons. You get open fields, you get caves, and you get these kind of Japanese castle looking dungeons. And so it's going to have one of those three motifs. And then in the second game, they add a new town, but the dungeons are exactly the same. So they basically recycled every single asset. All the characters look exactly the same. So they didn't have to do any new assets, just the one town. And then everything else, maybe a few new weapon models. But other than that, all the characters are the same, so they basically could just focus on story. And then in the third one, it's the same deal. They add one new town, they add one new dungeon set, which is a forest now. Uh, but other than that, they didn't add that much in terms of assets because you're in the same world in each game. So because of that, then I think yeah, they don't really have to add that much, so they can just focus on doing the story. They don't have to redevelop the game each time, unlike something like, say, Final Fantasy VII Remake or something where, in the first game you're in Midgar, but in the second game you're not there, so they have to recreate the entire world, and most of the assets need to be recreated. And this one, they just recycle the assets, and then they can just create a new story in the same world. So I think because of that, they were able to turn them out pretty quick.
so. I'm curious. Like, what was PS game pricing in 2006, 2007?
That's a long time ago. I don't quite remember. Maybe $50,
So
maybe.
potentially, you bought this $50 in 2006, and then in 2007 you paid $100 if you were buying these games.
Uh, I paid $70. Oh, you mean if you bought all three? Yeah, you'd spend
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
$150. Yeah.
Damn, that's hectic.
Maybe there was a package, like combined to release and one for free or one half price if you buy two
Possibility,
at
but I don't
once.
think so. Yeah, I think they were just three
No.
separate games. Yeah. But we didn't have
Yeah.
the internet back then, so people couldn't complain online, or at least we didn't have as much of the internet.
Speaking of earthquake, do you feel anything, Adam?
Um, no, no, I don't feel
Yeah,
anything.
because you're in a house, right? So I'm on the eighth floor, which is why I see the shaking very pronounced.
No, I don't really see any shaking. Not anything that wouldn't be caused by my AC blowing anyway.
um, yeah, that's great. That heck to you sounds interesting. Antoine, you were talking about a very
Uga.
depressing game just now.
Yeah, well, I changed game because I've been complaining about Evil Genius 2 for the past 2 weeks. That it's a great game, but it's quite empty in mid game, and I hit a second checkpoint with I can't go forward in my main mission, and I have 20 side mission on the side. I'm like, okay, that's not gonna do it for me. And I was looking at what I have on my Game Pass Xbox, and I found Fuga Melodies of Steel, which comes from a series I didn't knew called Little Tale Story. Apparently, in the comments of Fuga, everybody's like, Little Tale Story is coming back. Last game of the Little Tale Story was 2014, something like this. Apparently, they did 2 or 3 games, 2010 to 2014, which were very well received. And so this one, to start off, I wouldn't say PG 18, but you have to be a certain age to play it. I would say it's much better for adults rather than kids, simply because it's a bit dark. It could be very dark in the very first hour of the game. And to give you a brief description, you start with a Valkyria Chronicle setting. Little village get attacked by Nazi, let's say. They are Berman soldier. They're not German, they are Berman because they are German Shepherd dogs. In this world, your characters are either cat people or dog people. But here, the bad guys are German people, dressed really like a Prussian war. Like end of 1890s, something like this. Anyway, so setting of Valkyria Chronicle, You get 6 kids as a start. I know you have 12 in the game, but 6 kids in a big tank taken right from Metal Slug. I love the tank design in Metal Slug, so it's perfect for me. Um, and you have some battle cinematics which really makes you remind you of Advance Wars. So they really took inspirations a bit everywhere. But the point of this game is not really the gameplay. The gameplay is very simple. And basically, you just have to make strategy because each of your kids have a different weapon. One have machine gun, one have cannon, one have grenade launcher. Each has their specifics, and you can switch them according to the type of enemies you will battle. But basically, that's as far as the tactics goes for now, of course, because I'm not even off the tutorial. I just play like an hour. But everything is made in this game, and I really feel it at this time, at least. That the gameplay is not important. What's important is the emotion it makes you feel. The art is incredible. The musics are incredible. The drama is right on point. I told the guys exactly what the drama was, but I don't want to spoil it for you. But just do the introduction, like half an hour, 40 minutes of game, you will understand what I'm talking about. So it's really based on emotions and interactions between your characters. There's a little base, not base building, but base mechanics. The tank is big enough for you to have a kitchen, a place for the mechanic to upgrade your weapons and your armor. And at the back of the tank, you can draw a fishing line to collect scrap of the road. Well, and each of these room can be extended. I haven't done it yet. I'm not that far. But kitchen, you eat a meal once every load point, let's say, to give your character some boost. Each of the 6 character, you can pick them up one by one to talk to other character to create interactions. Interactions are very important because they create, like some kind of trick shots. And each time you level up an interactions, maybe the girl can heal the tank each time you shoot, or the older boy will have a stronger attack power. This kind of stuff. So as I said, the gameplay mechanics are very not super basics, but they are right on point for this kind of game. You just have to dive into the story, and that's exactly what you need. Like dive into the story with a light gameplay to accompany it, and it's not a very long game, like 20 to 25 hours max, if you, including the side quest. So I feel that it's exactly the kind of game that I will enjoy.
How's it running on your computer?
Oh, fantastically. This game was 2021, so it's not that old, and I think it was released on Xbox. But it's going very very smoothly. It's not that heavy of a game. Huh? It's not cyberpunk.
Very nice. And okay, so this was an Xbox Game Pass, right? And so
Yes,
yes,
it has been very recently added. I see it in my new release, and yeah, honestly, for the little I have played, I really recommend you to do at least a tutorial. I think you'll get charmed into the story.
but I mean, it's from the intro you gave us, right? This sounds doesn't sound like my kind of game. It sounds a bit sad.
Dark.
Yes,
Too
That's
dark.
dark.
Yeah, yeah.
that's war. You have people invading and destroying your village, kidnapping all the adults. You have 6 kids in a tank, guided by a voice. A voice on the radio. You don't know where it comes from. You don't even know if it's friendly or not. You assume it's friendly because it's kind of the tutorial voice, of course. But your 6 kids dropped in a tank trying to rescue the adults. It's beautiful. It's cute. Really, the art is really cute. I don't know if you see the intro on the screen from Adam or something, but it's really beautiful and heartwarming. But it's still war. So I will tell you later in the game. What I told you guys was a way for them to increase the drama and show you some game mechanics that you can die in the game. It's okay because magic just showed up. Some magic will make you rewind time to the latest load point in the game. They tell you this. They tell you this. Oh, in this world, we have some whatever magic crap, which that doesn't make any sense. But anyway, you can just rewind to the nearest load point to maybe go in the tank, change maybe with food, or upgrade your tank in different way for the upcoming battle. So if you lose a boss battle, maybe come back, change your upgrade, change your tactic, try again. That's basically what's the this mechanic teach you.
Sounds interesting. Yeah,
That's
and like you mentioned the art style, but I don't think after you told us about the there's the
the soul cannon.
no, yeah, after you told me about that, I'm like, no, I can't do that. I don't like. I have
Yes, but of course, because they teach you about this, you know that it's an option that you're never gonna use. That's actually a bit annoying because now that I know about this option, I know I'm never gonna use it because I'm getting attached to these characters, and everything is made to make you feel closer to this character, especially through the interaction. Each time you interact with one character and another, because one of the mechanic is that you can't just take the hero and interact with every other character, because each time you interact you get experience point. If you do this, your hero is going to be maxed out, all the others are going to be low experience. So you have to change and see the interaction between the girl and the fat boy, like instead of just having six characters to interact with, multiply this, it's 6 by 6 interaction. So they do everything to make you feel attracted to these characters. You don't want to lose them. So you know that this option they show at the beginning, like, okay, thanks for showing me this option. I'm never gonna use it. Thank you. I'd rather just, kill my whole crew and restart and use a different tactic. So yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
kind
wait
of
for
a
you to
useless
finish it.
option. Well, I'm not gonna finish it by next week, but
No, no, no. As I said, like whenever there's a Nintendo Switch sale going on until the 26th. I bought some Switch games recently, and so I've got plenty. Plus, some of my Kickstarter stuff from last year is not coming out this year. So I just received a Kickstarter key for something I backed last year. So there's too much of stuff to play in the last 3 months of the year. But my
Fuga might be on Switch. Huh? I'm checking, but I
It's
think you might have it
on
on
definitely
Switch.
on Xbox and PlayStation. I have the Wikipedia page up. It's on Switch, yeah.
It's on Switch, yeah. And
and
by the way, it doesn't have Starfield.
oh damn,
Uh-oh.
I
That's not
wonder
normal.
what happened in Canada. No, no, that is definitely not normal. That's okay. So I was gonna talk about Disney's Starlight Dream Valley. I always forget the
Oh, there we
name.
go. He's back.
Oh hi.
Damn your earthquakes. And I just wanted to mention before I cut off that it has been very well received, and a second opus is on the making.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm gonna wait until you finish it before I even consider it. It's yeah.
I'm gonna tell you it's fantastic.
I want to hear if there are any more questionable decisions when it comes to that in the game.
That's spoiling. How can you enjoy the game?
Because I'm not a big story person, right? Like you
Ah,
guys are looking at.
then don't do it. It's, as I said, it's a light gameplay. It's
Yeah,
everything to draw out emotions.
I like the only emotion I like is revenge, which is why I like Far Cry 6. Right. Or games of that nature. Or like Deathloop as well is the same. It's like revenge. But other sort of oh my god, somebody died and you lost this person forever. No, that's depressing. Like or making bad choices in games like I did in Fallout 4. Uh, that's also sort of that was too bad. I don't want to play that kind of game ever again.
That's why you have saves.
I know, but I told Adam about this. It's just uh, it's another point. We'll talk about it later. All right. Yes. So Disney games still loving it a lot. I did have a point of to complain. So if you're probably like me and you're playing it on the Switch version is now much better. So if you did want to buy it on the Switch, you can totally do that. Um, I got to a point. I'm only not even that far in because I mean I only play like an hour a day, except like one of the days in the week. So I'm like 13 hours in or 14 hours in, I think. But I got to a point where in this quest I had to help a Minnie Mouse pick flowers. Yes, that sounds super weird. Bear with me. Um, but I helped her pick flowers, and then I was like, got four out of these six special flowers, and then I could not find any more flowers in the area where this one. I'm like, son of a bitch, I have to wait until tomorrow. But if I was playing more than now, I could just play later on in the day and get that. So that was kind of irritating. And this happened in with two parts of the quest, or with two people where I always had to do this or prepare this dish or do something, and there was not enough things to do it, or I had to wait, and so that kind of irritated me. But I mean, beyond that, I'm still enjoying it because there's so many. There's now I have, geez, I have like 11, 12, 13 characters unlocked. And there's a bunch of people who, like two or three characters, I don't remember what Disney film they're actually from. Um, but I just saw the news this week that they're releasing a Toy Story DLC already, even though this game is in early access and it's not DLC. It's like a extra expansion, I guess, new content for the early access game. I don't know why, because I thought they would be releasing like a Little Mermaid stuff or something like that. Whatever Disney film is coming up next. But yeah, I'm still enjoying it. I'm working my way to uh, get into the frozen part of the map because you need like 10,000 Dreamlight, which is the thing you get by doing tasks in game. Um, so I once I get that, that will unlock a whole bunch of areas because you have Elsa's like freezing power that you can use to unlock some areas of the game. And yeah, still looking good, still running really well, and I'm looking forward to sort of progressing a bit more. There's like so much to do, and I also realized if anybody's listening to this, there's a mistake I made. One of the things you most often do in the game is you fish for money or you mine for money, right? And each character in Disney that in the game that you unlock, you can give them a special bonus that when you hang out with them, like friends, and they just give you extra stuff while you're mining or you're fishing. I only choose one guy for mining, one guy for fishing, but that's the most common task in the game. And I just randomly chose the stuff for everyone else. And all the stuff I randomly chose is not the stuff I need. So, like, in order to progress like different character stories, you have to get them to a certain level. And if you don't have like a useful ability with them, it takes forever. Like yesterday, I was making lobster roll for the mouse or the rat from the French Ratatouille movie, and that is the only way. I can have to make him food in order to level him up. And in order to unlock his next part of his story, I have to get him up to level 7. So every day, I have to find this complicated recipe like lobster roll or garlic shrimp scampi, some weird stuff like that, in order to sort of level this guy. But because I chose his power as like a getting fruit and stuff in order to level up, and that takes forever. And I chose like 4 people to have the same bonus ability. So I screwed myself pretty much, and I hope they invent a game or invent a ability in the game that allows me to change the bonus abilities of people or pay money or some way to do it, because otherwise I have like 4 or 5 characters and it's just it takes a long time in order to level these people up if you want to get to their next step of the story. Like I was lucky with Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse is bonus ability was mining, and because I had to mine all the time to make money, so I leveled him up to level 10. His story is done for the moment. Um, so yeah, that is it. I'm still gonna keep going with that. I bought some Switch games, right? I bought Disco Elysium, which is $20 on sale on the US store. I'm looking forward to that, even though that is a very story-heavy game. But it's as I told the guys before, I don't like doing story games on front of my PC, or yeah, I like to do it lying in bed, or yeah, lying in bed, pretty much just that. Um, so I bought that, and I ended up buying. What did I get? I bought another game. I forgot what it is, and then I got Ancora Lost Days, made by the Spanish studio Chibik. That is this Kickstarter game, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that is it from me. And then we're going to talk about, of course, Starfield. We're back to Starfield today. And I thought since Antoine watched the latest episode, he should go first.
Okay, so we were planning at first to make a Starfield special on this channel and talk about it once a month. I think this is our only second episode. In last one was like 3 months ago.
Oh my
There's
god.
not a lot of news on this game. There's not a lot of stuff. The previous thing that we didn't talk about was the gameplay showing at the what was the name, like Summerfest event or something like this, where you can see some you can see yourself fighting space pirate, like Mass Effect like. And as you would know, on the Bethesda website, you have a special page for Starfield, which is Join the Constellation. And in there, they released episode 3 of the Constellation, which is all about sound. So where they explain their idea, basically, or how they like to make the sound, how what's the process of making sound. It's a very brief episode of 6 minutes, and I wasn't particularly into it, to be honest, because it's a sound that you heard, on the videos of Starfield already. So there's nothing new in terms of music, and it's not something like, I'm playing Fuga and the music is really here to, enhance your experience. Here, the music you have is random space music that exists. Basically, it's nice random space music, background music, background space music. It's nice one, but it's just what it is. It's just background space music. So you have two guys, including the sound director of Bethesda. The guy was saying that he's here since Oblivion, but he was saying that when he joined, I think it's 2005 or something, Oblivion was pretty much done. So he started with Fallout 3 and after that. So if you like the soundtrack of Bethesda game, that's still the same guy, doing the sound. For me, I always saw that they have some nice background music. It's not bad music, but it's rarely, like something. I'm never really in trance of Bethesda music. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, for an adventure game, it's not never big moment of hard rock music like I like. It's more like you need some very long background music to follow up in your adventure, and that's basically what you have here in Starfield. So very nice background space music. Not much else to add. Basically, that's what the third episode of Join the Constellation is all about. And
Was it
yeah,
orchestral music?
yes, there is, and you have some little picture of little video, sorry, of the Bethesda orchestra. Don't know if they hire orchestras, if they have their own musicians. I don't know, but yeah, you have maybe a 30-second clip of the guys doing the orchestral music.
Okay. I'm a big fan. Like one of the things I like about Disney Dreamlight is Valley is that they have wonderful all the Disney pieces with orchestral music, and I don't like any music with like a beat or anything, and what just gives me a headache. So I'm a big fan. Though most people are not.
Yeah,
I
but
love orchestral music.
yeah, but easy there because Disney has some very strong orchestral piece for 2 or 3 minute music, right? Here, I'm telling you, it's really made to follow you for 80 hours, 100, Skyrim, like 1,000 hours, and try to make you not mm, pissed and, like very tired of the music after 1,000 hours. So it has to be good enough so that you like it, and backgroundy enough so that you just don't turn it off right away. So it's a hard way to make music, I think, but I'm sure the guy is doing it very well. Having one full episode on how to make this sound is not really my cup of tea, because if it was something like Disney or like the orchestra of Final Fantasy, when they go around the world doing the best music with the orchestra, that's fantastic. I love it. But that's not exactly the kind of music you will find in Starfield. Just again, random space music that WAV or that MP3 or whatever.
Okay. I
Not
think
expect.
that's probably might be just be a strategy. Like someone like me, right? I listen to Schubert's Opus Number 3 like at least 5,000 times since the 2000s. It's the same piano piece I listen to over and over and over and over and over. And I could say a lot of overs until I hit 5,000. But like I said, that's just my personality. I'm
Yeah,
totally
maybe you
okay
like
with
it.
it. Yeah, exactly. So
Then you
some
should
people might
watch this
like it, but
episode.
like you said, you, my older brother, My younger brother would be the same people. They'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna turn this stuff off because it's just that damn boring." Um, uh,
I'm fine. I'm fine with background music during your adventure because Skyrim was already discovering for a log part of the game. You don't need, some hard rocks, very intense stuff while you discover stuff. But typically, what you're showing Adam right now, like during intense fight. I don't know if it's intense, but fighting. Something a bit more. Like to make you more into it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna rip them apart. It's more like, okay, random enemies number 20. Come here.
Adam, what's your take?
On the music part, I haven't seen that part yet. But yeah, I would say kind of with Anton, it seems like most of the kind of music that you're going to be finding in Bethesda games are typically just there to kind of fill in the background so you're not walking in silence or, flying through space in silence. They're just kind of there to fill kind of dead sound. You're not getting these, overarching uh, musical scores that you would be getting in, say, something like Final Fantasy, like we mentioned before, or
Mm.
Valkyria Chronicles or something like that. I mean, that's not the point. The music isn't there to draw you in. The music is there to kind of fill out the world. So it really is the truest form of background music. Um, so in that sense, I'm not that interested. I would have preferred if they were going to do a sound video. I would have preferred to see how they did sound effects. Because I mean, with all these kind of spacey and sci-fi kind of sounds, I'd be interested to see how they do that. I mean, do they just go online and there's like a database of sounds, or like I always liked in Wall-E they had I think it was on the DVD or something where they showed how they did all the sounds for the space stuff and they just had like a big, basically a garage full of just stuff, and they were just like banging on stuff or dropping things to make all these sound effects. Uh, they were showing like how they did the lasers. They would take a spring and pull it out and like hit it, and so this the vibration of the spring, but as it moves up and down, it kind of makes this kind of sound and whatnot, and just seeing how they did that and overlapped different sounds to make these different things, or like in Jurassic Park where they sample lots of different animals. So the raptors have a little bit of dolphin in them and mixed with some bird calls, and the T-Rex had some bear and some whale mixed together. So I always find that kind of sound design a little bit more interesting than the music because, I mean, yeah, with music, I mean, it's interesting to see what they do, but I mean, we all know how it's made. You have a composer who puts it together, and then they give it to an orchestra, and the orchestra plays it. I mean, you know, some of the themes and inspirations are interesting, but I mean, the process itself it doesn't really change from project to project. Whereas the sound design for sound effects, I think, is always really interesting to me. So I'm disappointed that they didn't show that.
So, what are you going to talk about today, Adam? Which was what I meant to ask before.
Oh, I didn't really have anything specific to talk about. I just kind of looked at some of the news that you had posted up on there. I thought it was kind of interesting that they did what was it, the alien DNA thing? It was one of the perks you could pick up, and people speculating on what that could possibly mean. Like, are there going to be aliens and whatnot? I always thought when I was playing Fallout, I was always thinking like, "Oh, I want to be a ghoul. I want to be a ghoul. Why can't I play as a ghoul?" But you never could, and it always disappointed me. So if you can play with now, I do think that it's probably not going to change the gameplay dramatically. It's probably just going to be like a small little perk, like, oh, you're a little more resistant to certain environs and whatnot. But yeah, I don't really have anything specific to talk about. I just kind of looked at what you had posted and was just going to kind of follow along with your conversation.
But it's a Bethesda game, so just wait for the fan-made mod.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
there
there's a
was
mod
a
for that.
mention on there of mods too. People were talking about how there's been so little revealed on what was it, Starfield, that people are just picking at straws, and they were talking about how the windows on some of these buildings are dirty, and they were talking about how immediately the first mods that people are going to make are clean window mods, and I was like, man, you're really strapped for news when that's the news, is that you're talking about how people are going to do the uh the mods for cleaning windows. But Yeah, I think what I'm most looking forward to is what they were just showing here in the video is the ship customization. Korean, because Korean wasn't aware that you had ship customization, right?
That's nice.
Yeah, because we were talking about that when we were streaming No Man's Sky, and I was saying, "Oh man, I really wish I could customize these ships. Just take the prefab parts and pick and choose and design my own ship. And I really wish I could do that, but you can't do that. But you can do that in Starfield." And Korean was like, "What? You can do that?" But yeah, I think that's really cool that you can kind of build your own ship and design it how you want. And then I guess the interior would be kind of how you want. I would be curious to see how much control you have over it. Like, could you really, if you wanted to, create a Millennium Falcon looking thing? Or do they all kind of have the same basic structure where you have, because in the demo, it always shows you have kind of the core of the ship and you have the cockpit in the front. And then you have little modules that you can stick on the sides or on the back or whatnot. So I am kind of curious as to if you could move that. Cockpit around, move it to the side or something, try to I would be very interested to see how creative people get and all the different designs they come up with the different ships. So I think for me, when I play Starfield, I think that's probably where I'm going to be sinking most of my time is into trying to create this ultimate ship thing. Um, so yeah, I'm really curious about that. One thing that I am disappointed about was, and this is something that I haven't seen people arguing for a while about, was the fact that you can't land anywhere you want on a planet. They have predetermined
Mm.
landing areas. And at some point in the video, because I was looking through it, because this was the video I'm using right now is from the reveal, and in the reveal, there were segments where, was it Todd? Remember his name now.
Todd Howard.
Todd Howard would come out and kind of announce what he was going to show next. So I edited out all the Todd parts, and it's just pure gameplay now. But what they do is they show you kind of the solar system map, and you have a solar system map, and there are planets, and you can kind of highlight the planets, kind of like Mass Effect style in a lot of ways. And then on each planet, it'll have maybe like a little node on it that says like, "Oh, this is this city," or "This is a structure." And because of that, it means that because they said, "Okay, we're not going to do the No Man's Sky thing where you enter the atmosphere." And a lot of people came out in defense of that real early on, and they were like, "Oh, it's not that, it's really cool the first time, but after that, it's, it gets kind of boring. I'd much rather have this than that." But for me, I definitely would prefer the ability to enter the atmosphere anywhere you want. So I am wondering how developed are these planets? Because if you do have set landing zones, how much of the planet can you really explore? Could you really go out across the whole planet? Once you do enter the atmosphere, can you get in your ship and fly around within the planet's atmosphere? Or is it just that basically these are fast travel points and you just land on the planet and then you just, from there you walk around, but you couldn't fly, say, to the other side of the planet. So I'm curious to see more information on that, but we don't have information on that right now. So
I would have gone with the last one. Just a fast travel point, you sit on a planet, and then
yeah. Yeah, I'm kinda thinking it'll be more like, Mass Effect Andromeda, where you have a set landing point, your ship lands there, and you can travel around from that point, but you can't travel around the whole planet. You just have kind of a zone around your landing point, and you have to you can only move around within that zone. So it'd be
but you
interesting
have
to
a nice buggy.
see. Yeah, so it'd be
Yeah.
interesting to see how much of the universe is explorable. Like they said, they had over 1,000 planets, but I'd be curious to see how much of those planets are explorable and see what kind of variety of things we're gonna be looking at there and whatnot. And, seeing how much of it is really worth visiting, because I know one thing that people were saying with, when I played Oblivion, people, it wasn't brand new, but people were saying, "Oh, it's this big world, but it's kind of empty." Like, a lot of it, you're just kinda walking around and there's nothing there. And I remember when Fallout 3 came out, they specifically said, we're making the world more dense. So maybe the world isn't significantly larger, but there's more to do within the space. So it feels larger because you're moving between points of interest a lot more often. And with 1,000 planets, I'm kind of curious to see how many, what is the distance between points of interest, because if you have a lot of stuff to do. People like to wander around in your world, but if it's, if most of your planets are just, rock, people are like, "Oh, okay." They'll explore it for a while, but I could definitely see people if they're spending the amount of time that they're spending in Skyrim, they're not gonna be exploring as much of the universe because it's like, "Oh, there's not, I'm gonna go on this planet and there's nothing to see there." So, because
And be
exploration
care-
is not the point of the game like it is in No Man's Sky, so and
Mm,
nobody
but be
explores No
careful.
Man's Sky, they just land. Sorry, Antoine, I keep
No, no,
interrupting.
no. I was just saying, like, be careful on what you call point of interest. Don't fall into the Assassin's Creed where you put one little, like chest every 2 meters, which is absolutely unbearable. That's The Witcher was already very dense in that sense. The Witcher 3. So that would be a good point of reference.
Mm,
One of the things I wanted to ask you guys is, we're getting up in ages, right? And gaming has changed since Skyrim came out, since Fallout 3, Vegas, that sort of stuff. Do you think gamers our age, or even let's say gamers in their 20s, have time for mods now? Are they interested with the number of games you have available on your phones, on your Switches, PlayStations, Xboxes, right? Xbox Game Pass being sort of bridge between the PC and your console. I mean, there's so much games, so many games, my bad English, so many games available at the moment. Do you think the modding scene for Starfield is going to be as hot as it was for Skyrim? Is it that important anymore? Are people going to go in and put in the time? We'll go Antoine first.
I'd say yes because so few games are moddable. Can you find any other game than Skyrim where you can have like thousands and thousands of mods? A few games have mods, but it's rare. When you have a game like Starfield, when Bethesda release something, it's could be a title Bethesda. You can mod that. That must be the only studio which allows you to mod that freely. So there's tons of modders who just can't wait. Adam said it. They can't wait to clean Windows on mod. I mean, yes.
Adam, what about you?
I think mods are absolutely relevant, especially for games like this where, people especially now, I would say in a way they're almost more relevant now than they've ever been because, you know, the way we the way hype is done and stuff like that, a lot of these games and people say like, "Oh, we want this, we want that," and then they don't get it, and then people mod it in later, So a lot of times a lot of these games don't meet expectations on release, but then later on, some of those features are modded into the game. So I definitely think that modding is a big thing, especially because I mean, a game like this, there's a lot of games to play, but I don't know if people actually play that many games. You know, uh, or some people like for instance, you jump around a lot, but like somebody like me will spend like hundreds of hours in one game, and I think especially for I'm sure there are definitely people out there that are like, I don't have tons of time to game. So, if I'm just jumping around from game to game to game, like they don't have enough time to get tired of one game. And they're like, I'd rather just focus on one thing and just, really appreciate this one game and just rather than spending money on a bunch of games that I barely play because I'm just trying to rush through them all the time. So I definitely think mods, appeal to that crowd as well, where they're like, I can just have this one thing and just really milk it for all it's worth. So and plus I think now, modding's become easier than ever, and I think there are people who just enjoy doing mods, enjoy making them. So, for those people, yeah, it's like, this is my hobby, is making a mod, so of course I'm gonna make a mod.
And for players, it's even easier to actually download and install mods through Vortex. Before, it was quite manipulation to do it. And it's getting better and better to just, you go on your Nexus mod, download, install. Of course, there's going to be some trouble between different mods, but compatibility, but it's very easy for us to do.
I was going to say the opposite. I'm like, for the average person figuring out Nexus, getting the client, installing the mods, because like I love Skyrim. I finished Skyrim when it first came out. But like now, I've always wanted to I bought the Skyrim Anniversary blah 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 edition, whatever it's called, right? So I have all this stuff and there's all these mods. the thing that is stopping me from playing Skyrim again, because I have wanted to do all the stuff that I bought, the Dragonborn DLC, there's another DLC, is that the fact that to get all the mods installed, even though there is one big mod pack, but to make it look good, it's too much of a hassle. I think modding is much too much of a hassle when you have kids or you have multiple jobs or you're just busy. Like that's my concern with modding in 2022 is if there's so much going on in life. Who wants to spend time messing around with modding?
Lots of
Me,
people. Some people make money off mods. You know, like
Sure, sure,
Patreons and stuff like
and they
that.
do, but these are minority of people. I'm saying for general gamers, right? The for people our age, there's a less of the desire to mod because we do have the monetary ability to play what we want when we want
but
to.
it's strangely addicting, when you start, modding your game and you see you install a mod, you go to your game and you see a change, you're like, I can do more. My Skyrim, I can't even play it anymore because there's so many mods, which, with the passage of time don't work anymore, and there's new version with compatibility. So my Skyrim, I would need to purge all the mods to redo it again, and of course the save wouldn't load, which is why I'm not playing anymore. But it's so full of mods. Star Sector, which is a small game, has lots of mod in there, and I wouldn't play it without any mods. And that's a way to replay the same game, but in so many different way. It extends the life of the game. Skyrim's 2011. It's 2022, nearly 2023, and it's still relevant. It's still relevant now. All thanks to modding.
And I would argue too. I mean, who do you think are the people that are playing these games with mods? Do you think it's older gamers who played the original Skyrim, or do you think it's younger gamers who are just getting into Skyrim now? I mean, personally, I would think that it's probably older people that are doing the mods, not younger people. They're probably out playing Fortnite or Apex or something like that. So, I mean, who are the people enjoying the mods? I would say probably the older gamers.
Okay,
That's just my
we
opinion.
will have to agree to disagree on this one. Um, Another question. So, with the latest information, you guys did some research, you read some articles, I did too. How has this changed your decision, or has it changed your decision about purchasing Starfield, or has it changed? So we'll go Adam first.
Not at all. It hasn't changed my decision at all. Um, I'm definitely gonna have to get it on PC because unfortunately it's not gonna be on PlayStation, which is still disappointing. But that's life. But no, it hasn't really changed my opinion at all. And honestly, I wasn't really. It's a Bethesda game. I mean, they're called Bugthesda for a reason. I mean, we know going in that it's not gonna be perfect and it's not gonna be 100% up to the hype that Bethesda's putting it up. And I think it's gonna be. I think it's going to be kind of like No Man's Sky. I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as what happened with No Man's Sky when that came out and people kind of ragged on it. I don't think it'll be quite that bad, but I do think it's going to come out and people are going to say, "Oh, it's there's going to be a lot of hype up to it," and then when it comes out, there's going to be a lot of I don't know what you call that hate,
Ba-
anti-hype,
back
um,
backlash.
backlash. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of backlash, but looking at it, I'm kind of yeah, I'm just exactly the same as I was. There's
Well,
some good
Antoine,
things I'm like, "Oh, that looks cool," and there are other things I'm kinda like, that's kinda disappointing," but
what about you, Antoine?
I'm really hoping that the part we are seeing right now, the space fight, is cool, because at the moment, I'm really seeing a Skyrim in space with a lot of exploration, basic combat, quite possibly quite boring until mods come out. There's a video on Meet Vasco, the little robot. So very old friend of the series. You can have companions. Uh, so it's really feel like they're taking old gem to make a new one. Sorry, French thing. I don't know how it translates in English, but I'm really afraid of a Far Cry effect of taking an old game, putting a new skin on, and saying it's a brand new game. Of course, I think it's not gonna be like this. I hope it's gonna not gonna be like this, but we'll see. As I said, like Skyrim is still relevant in 2022. I want to see what's gonna be different with this one, and I really hope that this, like a space combat, gonna add a little, touch of spice into it. Like space combat like this with a doom-like music. That could be fun. That could be super fun.
Okay, so while I'll sort of give my take on this, you guys can think what we're going to do for next week. So my take in this, I would say, is given the research that we all did, for me, uh, I was going to be this is going to be a buy maybe a week or 2 weeks before it comes out for sure. Now I'm gone into this. I'm not going to buy this until it's on sale, just because there's nothing that's sort of capturing me. And as Adam and I coined the episode, the backlog, right? The backbreaking backlog. Go back and check that out if you have time. Um, the backlog's just increasing for me. I kickstarted 2 or 3 games in 2021, another 5 or 6 games in 2022 that are coming up next year. These There's nothing I have seen from Starfield that's saying I have to pre-order it or I have to buy it when it comes out on release. Um, Again, mod or no mods, I don't have time for that. 10 minutes it takes me to install mods. Even 5 minutes means I only get to game for 55 minutes. So um, that is I'm just yeah. I'm gonna wait. I'll let Adam and Antoine play this first, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm missing out. Bye now. Um, but we'll see what comes out next year. My quick, because we're almost at the end of today's show. My thing that I when I did my research on was a lot of people were criticizing some of the graphical technologies, and so this might be a little bit technical for some people. Was they talked about anti-aliasing, they talked about uh, reflexive shadows, something like that. There was not enough reflections in the game. Um, and again, for anyone who's bought a 30 series graphics card, or the 40 series is coming out in like next week. So you're talking about NVIDIA DLSS. Basically, the game, given that it's coming out in 2023, does not have all of the modern technologies that you should expect of not just of NVIDIA, but AMD cards as well. And I think that's not terrible, but that kind of sucks if you spent $1,000 or $800 or $700 on a graphics card as a PC user, and this game just looks the way it does at the moment. And look, I don't mind the dark colors. That's fine. I don't mind the barren planets, but I would like to see reflections. I would like to see 120 megahertz at 4K, right? So that's something for you guys to consider. Again, you guys already know my opinion. I'm not going to buy this um, anymore anyway, uh, until something like, oh my god, comes out that says I have to buy this, because there's so much interesting stuff like Antoine's game that he talked about at the beginning of today's show. If you skipped it, you should go back and listen. Like that is dark and stuff, but it isn't like what he said was interesting to me, and I will probably add this to my favorites on my browser. And then when Antoine finishes it, I'm like, okay, is this a game that will fit my mental state? And if it is, good. If it isn't, no. But it's still interesting, right? And that's the kind of stuff I like as a someone who's going to turn 40 in 3 months, right? So yeah, that is it, guys. So what are we talking about next week?
Weren't we supposed to have some guests? Like
Next week,
From Switzerland, you said? No?
yes, my coworker, but it's going to be hard for us to record because it would be
Mm,
12 a.m. our time. It would be,
okay.
so no, he will come on, but we have to find a time where on the weekend where he is not mountaineering in the Swiss mountains. Uh,
And, and no news from the Australian guy, Luke?
no, 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 he has not replied at all. So
Ghost.
um,
Yeah.
ghosted, as Adam said, ghosted. So you guys had a good 3 minutes to think of a topic for next week. All right, we go Adam first. You're
I'm always terrible at this. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's relevant in the news. I mean, we could do something about development, or I mean, we had the recent was it the leak for uh shoot, what's it called?
GTA
GTA
6.
6. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And all the kind of backlash on that, when it's kind of like, hey, come on, it's an early thing. I mean, we could talk about kind of leak culture, I guess, if you wanted to.
Okay,
I
Adam's
don't know.
pitch.
I don't know.
Antoine.
Well, I was thinking, like I told you about Fuga being part of a series of games that I had no idea about and which look all of them really cool. I wouldn't mind doing some show about a series which is unknown, like
Game
unknown but really
series.
well
Okay.
received, somewhere else, maybe by small. It's really much like hidden games, but specific to one series. Like before we started this podcast, I had no idea what Atelier was, even if I just didn't grab into it. I didn't like it, but I had no idea what Atelier was. I had no idea what these are little Bronx or little trail series. Yeah. Um, Plenty of series which are very famous in the East, but not very famous here. So maybe we could do a focus on this. Maybe a focus on Atlus and Persona, for instance, because Persona is popular, but not that popular. A lot of people have no idea what's Persona or never played the Persona,
Okay. That
or
sounds good.
this kind of things. So I don't know. A focus on a series of game
So
unknown.
let's schedule it this way: the 28th, next week, Wednesday, we'll do Adam's gaming development. We'll call it Development Hell, could be the title of the episode, whatever you want to call it. The 5th of October, we'll do Antoine's Hidden Series or Series in the Bushes. I don't know, it's probably a bit
Yeah,
sexier name than
sometimes.
that. Uh, and then so I'll put this all on the Mac calendar for us so we can start organizing our episodes better. So if you guys don't know what's happening, you can always look on the Mac calendar. And then I will figure out something for the 12th of October. And then we'll be all set. Cool, guys.
All right.
So, guys, final thoughts before we end off today.
Yeah, not really.
Yep. Antoine,
uh,
are you going to be
I really,
streaming the
no,
Fuga
no,
game?
yeah. Oh, streaming the Fuga game? No, unlikely. I don't think I'm gonna be streaming and for a while. But no, no. Final thought: Starfield is the hype is decreasing very fast, so I'm not thinking of doing a pre-order. It's Bethesda, so I wouldn't pre-order it anyway. But I'm thinking of leaving it a good year for them to, fix the bugs and add some relevant content before getting it.
Wow, so Adam's going to be the first person to play it out of the
It
three
might
of us.
be.
I want to see what it's gonna be. Fallout
Okay.
New Vegas or 78? Was it 78?
76.
76.
76 is
76.
popular now. So
Now, 2 years after. So that's what I want to see. Is it gonna be like a hit right off the bat, like New Vegas, or wait 2 years? Like don't waste your time on something which gonna make you mad as hell
wait for the
for
mod
2 years.
scene to fix it.
Wait 2 years. 2 years good.
So Fallout
Two years.
76, not as popular as you think. 8,000 players playing currently. All-time peak since the game came out was 32,000. So it's gone down a bit.
Considering how bad it was, it's actually very good.
I guess, yes, that's true as well. Cool. Okay, cool. Then that is it for us. Make sure you guys tune in. Check out our TikTok channel. Please follow us on Twitter. Adam and I are tearing up the Twitter spaces these days. So please check out Adam's Twitter handle as well. Twitter.com/LAHDSAI. Check out our gaming Twitter handle, which is twitter.com/gamingage, GAMINGAGED. And I wish Antoine was using Twitter more often so I could tag him all the time. Okay. At some point, we'll get Antoine into Twitter as well. Twitter is pretty fun. I like Twitter. And you can always email us out if you don't do Twitter as well, right? You can always send us a message via our Facebook page, right? Facebook.com/middleagegaming2020, just like that. Click message button. You can send us a message there if you're a Facebook person. We'd love to hear from everybody. Just a quick message here or there. Join us in discussions when we argue with people in the gaming space. That would be wonderful too. And then we will see you guys same time next week, right? So 9 a.m. Taiwanese time, 9 p.m. Antoine's time in the Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, we might be changing the podcast come October when it is daylight savings time for Antoine, and maybe he might want to change the podcast time. We'll see. Maybe. Okay. All right, guys. Then we will see everybody next week. Take care of yourselves. Stop reading the news. Right, it is pretty bad. Stick with us. Come watch Middle Age Gaming. Will make sure you're happy.
Bye bye.